10 things that can save Star Wars Battlefront 2. In my last video, I made a very bold statement. I said that Battlefront 2 is going to die, and I do not take that back whatsoever. If the game isn't handled correctly, this game is going to die in the next few months, plain and simple. Now, besides the new progression system, which is obviously being worked on, and we're going to be getting new details about that in March, Season 2 for the DLC, and cosmetic customization, just to name a few, what are 10 things we could get in the meantime that could bring players back? I want to give a big shout out to Sammy Cowdrey, one of the subscribers on the channel, who suggested I do this video in one of my live streams. Now, I know these 10 things will bring a lot of players back. How do I know this? You guys have told me in the streams, for example, you've commented on the videos that you're not playing the game, but things like this would get you back into it. Now, let's get into the first thing on this list, and that is a map voting system. Now, obviously, after you've played a game of Galactic Assault, for example, you just put onto the next map in the rotation. You're not really put onto a map that you might necessarily want to play. For example, the prequel maps are easily the most popular maps in the game, and you might have just finished 2 games of Kashyyyk, but you want to stay in the Clone Wars era, but you get put onto maybe an original trilogy map. There should be a system where you can vote to maybe play Kashyyyk again, or go on Naboo, whatever map it is that you want to play. Whichever one has the most votes wins, simple as that. Now, for the second thing on this list, we have different map variations. Now, this is something they've already partially added into the game with, for example, daytime Mos Eisley and nighttime Mos Eisley, but that's only on one map. I think we've got nighttime and daytime Kashyyyk as well, but there are so many other options. What about a nighttime Naboo or a nighttime Yavin, or maybe even a nighttime Starkiller base? The possibilities are really endless with this. What about Sandstorm Jakku or Tatooine? There are just so many possibilities on offer here, and it really would add something different to the maps. Imagine loading into a game and you just don't know which variation of that map you're going to get. It's simple things like this that can really change the way a game plays. Anyway, for spot number 3, we have cosmetic hero skin challenges. For example, in the game currently we have one of these, which is the Smuggler Han Solo skin. You get this by getting all 3 stars on every single arcade mission. Now, while it's not the most exciting skin, it was something to work towards, and you did feel pretty special when you unboxed that Han Solo skin. I know I did, I'll be honest. Now, what about, as well as doing these for the arcade, we could have some multiplayer ones. Just for example here, maybe 200 Luke Skywalker kills could maybe get you a Stormtrooper Luke or a Bespin Luke, things like that. 200 kills with Princess Leia could maybe get you an Episode 4 Leia or Episode 6 Leia. There's just so many possibilities with this once again. Cosmetic customization is something people have been wanting for ages, and I understand completely they're not going to add in the trooper customization until progression is fixed most likely, but hero skins like this wouldn't do anyone any harm. Let me know in the comments what are some hero challenges you'd like to see that could maybe unlock you certain skins. Next up, we've got private matches. Now, I don't really need to say much about this. Sometimes you may have played a few multiplayer games and then you just want to take a break and have a bit of fun with your friends, whether that means taking it serious or just messing about in a match that doesn't really count towards anything. I know, for example, someone like me who does a lot of live streams, I really just want to get a few games going where it's just me and the subscribers, but I can't do that. And also cinematic makers, I'm guessing it would make it a lot easier for them to get some really cool cinematics out. It's just a different way to play Battlefront, and I don't understand why it's just not added in. Anyway, up next we have a stats screen. Now, a lot of you will moan at this one, say it's not too game changing, we don't really need it, but once again, I've spoken to you guys on the streams, and a lot of you said that you actually played the last game when there was no new content updates coming, just to improve your KD, for example. Believe it or not, some people are really competitive about this stuff, so why not get it in for those guys? Me personally, I'll have a really bad KD, probably around 1.25, something like that, but some people really like to aim high with these things. It would also be good to see how many kills I've got with certain heroes, weapons, how many wins I've got on certain maps. Stuff like that would just be some fine additions to the game. Now, something I touched upon in the Battlefront is going to die video was epic star cards being temporarily available in crates. Now, why do I think this? Obviously, it probably won't be permanent. When they fix progression, they'll probably take this away, but for now, there are no microtransactions. The only way you can get the epic star cards is by crafting them, which does take up a lot of crafting parts, 480 to be specific. Since there is no way at the moment people can pay to get an advantage, why not just put them in the crates? So if you get lucky, you get an epic star card. It would make it much easier to just get a few more of these things, because obviously people who play more are getting so many, but then people who can maybe only play over weekend, they got other stuff to do, it's taking them a very long time to maybe just get a few epic cards. Now, something that was confirmed on Twitter recently is that we will be getting a Prequel Trilogy playlist for, I don't know, it might be Galactic Assault, it might be Heroes vs Villains, it might be for any game mode, I don't know how it's working. But that is a good start because the next point on this list is actually trilogy-only playlists. Now, I see why people are against this, and at first I was as well. The Prequel playlist is going to have so many players on it, and the other two might get left behind. But to that I say, does it matter if the majority of players are playing in the Prequel Trilogy? Why not just give players the option to keep playing in that specific era? And it does look like DICE are doing that. But not leaving out the originals and that sequel trilogy as well, let's get an original trilogy playlist, and dare I say it, a sequel trilogy playlist as well. Single player options. Believe it or not, a lot of people just like to relax and play some single player. It's not all about the multiplayer for them. So maybe get some Galactic Assault, Heroes vs Villains, Blast Strike, Starfighter Assault, whatever is popular, into the single player. Sometimes I myself just want to take a break off the multiplayer and go onto arcade, but it's not that fun when all I'm doing is the same challenges over and over again. I want to play some of the bigger game modes like Galactic Assault or Starfighter. Obviously multiplayer does have a larger audience, but don't forget the people who still play single player. On to the next point, which is campaign content introduced to multiplayer. Now, there's this whole Bespin DLC leak floating around at the moment, and if it does turn out to be true, this is a step in the right direction. Obviously, the campaign offers such planets as Bespin, Sullust, and even Pilio, which are only in the single player and not the multiplayer. While we're waiting for these big DLC seasons that will hopefully be Clone Wars content such as Coruscant, Utapau, stuff like that, maybe we could get some of these planets that were only in the campaign in the multiplayer. I'm sure it's much easier to add in a map from the single player into the multiplayer than designing a whole new map altogether, so come on, let's get some of this stuff in the game. And finally on this list we just have overall fixes in the game. It's amazing how far things like this would go. Some of the things I've noticed is Heroes vs Villains lobbies don't load most of the time, there's bad matchmaking sometimes, and terrible balancing. I'm looking at you, Chewbacca and Emperor Palpatine. You know, one of the things I hate in this game at the moment is that I think I'm safe, I'm behind a wall, and then all of a sudden this lightning comes through the wall from Palpatine and he kills me. I thought I'm supposed to be behind cover. Well, that is about it for this list. I honestly believe if some of these things are added, let's say at least 6 of the 10 I've discussed here today, the game will have a much better chance of surviving, because like I said, it's gonna die at this point, and I really don't want that to happen. Whatever the future is of the game though, people, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I've got loads of content planned for the channel, and whether the game fails or it ends up doing some sort of recovery and everyone starts playing it again, I'm going to be here making loads of videos, doing loads of streams for you guys, so watch out for them. Thank you so much for watching, I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.